What's going on, guys? This is BroncoJuggalo, and today we are reviewing the 2015 film Animalistic. This is a wildeye releasing. It is one of the films that wildeye sent me. This film was directed by Sonny Laguna and Tom Wickland and stars Hannah Oldenburg as our main character, Emma. Now, this is a rape revenge film, for those of you that don't know. And this is also a film I want to give a small warning about, and spoilers. There are spoilers in this review, so. This is not a film you want to watch with your children, okay? If you let your kids watch horror movies, that's cool. I watched horror movies as a kid. I'm cool with it. But this is not one you want them to watch, trust me. Anyways, the synopsis of this film is that our main character, Emma, who is a diplomat from Australia, she gets kidnapped on a trip to America by a woman, of all things. And the reason I say that is because this is not your typical film when it comes to this kind of subject matter. One of our captors is a woman. And that's a little bit different. There are some where there's women involved. Last House on the Left being one. She gets kidnapped and taken to a cabin in the woods where there are a couple men waiting for her, Jim and Pete. Our main guy, Jim, played by Ralph Beck, who does a superb job in this film, I might add, are waiting for her, and they proceed to rape, torture, and hurt her. Pete is also a necrophiliac. They already have a girl in the cabin who they kill, and when Jim tells Pete to get rid of her, he asks if he can have his fun with her, and he tells him, yeah, go ahead, and he goes off to, do that. Luckily, we don't get to see that part, so I hope you guys will excuse me. I'm still not feeling great. Still trying to get over this cold. It's still affecting me. It's not quite as bad as it was yesterday, but it is still bothering me. This is a Swedish film, and in Sweden it actually has another name, which I think fits the movie a little better, called We Are Monsters. And I think that's an awesome title, and I kind of wish they would have kept it, but Animalistic is a really good title. This is the unrated edition. So with all that being said, this is definitely a movie that is intense. It has very brutal rape scenes, so like I said, it's not for children, and it has very brutal revenge scenes. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into my pros and cons. And we're going to start out with cons because I don't have a lot of them. I actually only have one. And that is, in some scenes, some of the camera work is a little shaky. It's a little bouncy and a little sloppy. And it could even be that was done on purpose. That's kind of a fad in the horror movie industry to do that way. I guess they figure it feels more raw. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that. But there is some scenes in this movie where the camera work is a little bit sloppy in my opinion. That being said, that is my only con. As I mentioned, the brutality of this film, that is my first pro. This film jumps off with brutal right from the start. As soon as this woman is kidnapped and brought into this cabin, the brutality starts. Not only is it a brutal film, but it's done very well as far as the gore effects and the kill effects go. And that is my pro number 2. There's a really good gunshot kill right at the beginning that starts us off, and it looks amazingly well done. When Emma turns the tables on her captors, there is a scene where Pete, by the way, is not all there mentally, you can definitely tell. He's referred to as a retard in a lot of the film. And he's also a necrophiliac and incredibly psycho. Pete and her are wrestling outside because she had just escaped. She had gotten out of the cabin, and she was down in a lake trying to clean herself out and trying to heal up a little bit. And she gets, a little bit far away, and Pete catches her and grabs her, and they're wrestling, and Pete literally goes into a wood chipper, and you can see it as he's going through, and you can see like the nubs of his feet and his legs, and then it cuts to his waist, and his his bowels are laying everywhere, and it looked really good. It was done very well. as I said, I'm still talking about these first two pros kind of together. Again, when she turns the tables on her captors, she has Jim in the chair tied up, and she literally feeds Pete's bowels to Jim, and he's gagging and choking on them and throwing up, and it's flat out disgusting. But in that, you are getting almost a sense of satisfaction from what she is doing because of what she has gone through. Some people may say, oh, that's gross and that's a little too far. You ask me, one of the worst things on this world you can do is rape a woman. The only worse thing than that is raping a child. So, raping a woman, in my opinion, deserves those kind of consequences. I don't think it's too far at all. I think they got exactly what they deserve. And that leads me into my third pro. The acting of our psychopaths. Emma did a good job. Our main actress, Hannah, she did a really good job. But the acting that really got to me was the acting of Ralph Beck as our main psychopath. He goes through different bouts of sadistic pleasure to depression to grief. Just his emotional range is all over the place. And I gotta give a huge salute to these guys because as actors, playing these kind of roles has to be extremely hard and extremely tough. You know that you're not actually hurting anybody, you're not doing anything bad to anybody, but you're portraying that you are. And that's gotta be really rough on these actors to try and do. And that's why I say that kind of acting to me is very impressive because they do it so well, and it didn't look fake at all. It looked real. So it was their selling it more than anything that made it look real. And to me, that's just amazing that they have the ability to do that. Now, I don't know what that says about me as a person, but I would like to think that I just have a good appreciation for good actors. Still on the brutality, though. Back to the brutality. There's a scene where she has him tied up in the chair. She pulls his pants down and his thing is laying there and his balls and everything. And she takes a hammer and she smashes them, and you get to watch every second of it. And it is downright brutal. Done very well. It looked very realistic. And kudos to them on, the gore effects, the makeup effects. Very awesome. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place because this is actually the second time I've filmed this review. Or I thought I filmed it. The first time, it turns out the camera had a malfunction. And it turned itself off and I didn't even realize it. So I did the entire review without realizing that the camera was off, and then I checked it and I was like, oh shit. So I'm having to do it all over again. So I'm trying to get all my thoughts in, be coherent, but also kind of pick up the pace a little bit so that way I can, start editing it. Ralph Beck's performance, as I said, was amazing in my opinion. And one of my pros in this film is the story and the character building. You find out backstory on the main character, Emma, but we also find out a little bit backstory about our main captor, Ralph. You find out that outside this psychotic realm he has going here in the woods, he's also a husband and a father in a seemingly normal family. Nobody knows about this side of his life. There's a scene where he's talking to his wife on the cell and talking to her about what they're going to do with their kid this weekend. And, it sounds like a conversation I would be having with my wife, or any normal guy would be having with his wife. And it showed the depth and range of his acting abilities when he switched between those, those emotions and those thoughts. But basically between those characters, it was like he was playing 2 or 3 different characters all inside of one body. There is a scene where he had just got done raping her, and she had been throwing taunts in his face about his wife and kid. And because she was trying to do everything she could to, he was drunk. She was trying to do everything she could to throw it in his face to get back at him. She probably figured at that point in time she was going to die anyway, so it probably didn't matter. And he decides to rape her again, and he does. And afterwards, he goes into the kitchen, he sits at the table, and he breaks down. And for just that split second, you can see that last shred of decent human being inside of him. reacting to what he just did, but you can then you see like the insanity come back into his eyes, and you can see that last shred has been totally cut off, and for just that split second you almost feel sorry for him, and then you go right back into it, and then you're elated by what happens to them when she gets free and she turns the tables on them. This movie, with its story and with its character development, literally moved me in ways inside. I mean, it didn't like physically move me. I'm a big old fat guy. You ain't gonna move me that way. But that is what a good movie does, in my opinion. A good movie messes with your emotions. It makes you feel all different kinds of things. So yes, for the majority, I felt hate towards these people. But I also felt sadness and grief and despair coming from them. And that was just awesome to me. I thought it was so well done. I'm going to have to look at the back of this because I'm going to get this name wrong. But going into my next pro is the music. And a lot like Halloween, and no, I'm not saying it's John Carpenter or even as good as John Carpenter. I'm not saying that. You know, it is a very good score, though. The music really ties this movie together. It really helps keep the mood and set the tension, very much the way the music did in the original Halloween. And so for that, I have to give major props, and I'm going to have to read it here because I can't say it. Samir El Alaoui? I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to say your name. It's Alaoui. I don't even know if you'll watch this, but you did an amazing job on the music. I absolutely loved it. It was so well done. So yeah, guys, that's it for my pros and cons. I really enjoyed this film. In this film, we get to see the basest of human beings. We get to see a human at their absolute worst in all situations. We get to see a human being at the epitome of absolute despair, absolute grief, absolute terror, absolute insanity, absolute cruelty, and absolutely evil. And we get to see all of those things, and it does it so well, guys. I am so happy they sent me this movie. It is so good. It's so well done. Probably not a movie my wife would watch because she don't like this kind of stuff, but this movie definitely, right here on the back it says, "It walks between the waters of I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left." I don't think it walks between the waters. It took from the template, and I'm not saying it's a better movie than those because those are classics. But I really enjoy. I think I may have enjoyed it more than those. This takes what those movies did. It doesn't walk between the waters. It drains the swamp. Political joke. It stomps a mud hole into the water, or into what's left, and it totally kicks their ass as far as the brutality goes, as far as what it makes you feel. This movie definitely has it. So go out and check it out, guys. Animalistic. If you like this kind of film, it's great. Do not let your children watch this movie. And this is BroncoJuggalo saying thank you very much to Wildeye for sending me another great movie. I've got 4 more in the box you sent me to go through. So thank you guys very much for sending me this film. I truly appreciate it. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to review these films. And once again, guys, go out and check out Animalistic from the Wildeye Releasing. Look for it on their website. Hit them up on Twitter. Hit them up on YouTube. Find this movie. Get yourself a copy. Definitely worth it. Awesome film. Once again, Animalistic. BroncoJuggalo saying peace. Go Broncos.